Here's another little problem that somebody's brought in for us to have a look at. This is a cylinder head from a Ducati 250 single, just a standard one, not a Desmo, and the problem with it is the exhaust threads in the exhaust port in here, kind of stripped. One way of fixing this is to put an insert in there. Somebody makes an aluminium insert, and what you have to do is bore out this, get rid of the old horrible thread, and bore it out to a suitable plain bore. Then what you need to do is to turn the insert down to the size of the bore that you've just put in there. Hopefully a really nice snug fit, press fit. Push the insert in and then weld it around the edge to make sure it doesn't ever come out again. So that's what we're going to have a go at doing. It's going to be a bit tricky because this thing is sitting at the port is sitting at a bit of a funny angle. Not only is it tilted that way, it's also tilted that way. So setting this up on the mill so that this is level, it's going to be interesting, and just fixing it on the mill is also going to be not dead straightforward. The obvious way of doing it would be to just bolt straight through the cylinder bolt holes, and I think what we're going to have to do is to make an adapter plate that we can bolt this to, and then bolt the adapter plate onto an angle plate on the mill. So that's what we're going to have a look at doing. I've got what I hope is a suitable plate. It's only aluminium and it's only 5/16 thick maybe. But we're not going to be taking much out of this, so there's not going to be a lot of load on the cutter when we're doing this, so it doesn't need to be super rock solid. So I'm thinking we will bolt this on here, and set this at an angle, I think. So that we can get that level, and then we'll only have one angle to deal with in tilting the head of the mill over. So let's see if we can mark out some holes on this plate and still be able to clamp it to an angle plate. Well, I've had second thoughts about using this piece of aluminium plate that I found, because it's a little bit on the thin side, which may or may not be a problem where the casting of the head around the exhaust port is a bit of a lump. So for that reason I thought something a bit thicker would be good, and also just to be able to thread a decent thickness. So I found a couple of 12mm steel bars. These have been laser cut, they were twice as long as this, but yeah, just lying around. So that gives me the extra thickness to clear, well, it doesn't totally, I don't think, oh, just about touching there. But that makes it a bit easier to deal with this lump here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bolt these to the cylinder head, and then I'm going to bolt the plates, these plates, onto this box plate that I've got here. I was going to use an adjustable angle plate, but its T-slots and slots in it are just completely the wrong spacing. So I found this instead. I think this is going to work okay. So let's get this all bolted up. Right, now hopefully this should be good to bolt on my box plate at an angle. I'm hoping I can get this level, obviously up the other way, that way. Get this surface level in this direction in any case. Yeah, and then I'll just have to do a bit of fiddling with tilting the head on the mill to get the rest of it level. But yeah, let's get the box plate on the mill and then see how we get on. Right, I finally got this cylinder head bolted up to a box plate at the right kind of angle that I was looking for. I've just squared up the box plate with a square. And obviously bolted it to the table of the mill. I've got bolts inside here which are fixing these plates to the box plate, and then the head is bolted through the bolt holes to these two plates. And then what I've done, I've put an exhaust collar in the exhaust port. It's a sloppy fit. It's not too bad when it's screwed all the way in. There's a bit of waggle there, but I think this is our best chance of lining everything up is with this old collar. And I've got this block on top, which is square, to the box plate, which is square on the bed of the mill. And if I put a level on this side, let's turn this around so we can see the bubble. So if we put that there, we've got that level as well. So in this plane we've got that level. So now all I need to do is to figure out, well, I can measure it, I don't need to figure it out, I can measure what the angle is here on that, and then set the head of the mill over at the same angle. So let's have a look at that. Well, we've got a vernier scale on there. It's 15 degrees. I reckon that is halfway between 20 and 25 minutes. So let's see if we can set the head over at that angle. Well, the best we can aim for is about 15 1/3 of a degree, or between 15 1/3 and 15 1/2, and I think that's just about it. And there's a scale, and we're looking at that line there. So let's lock it up at that. Right, I'm just checking the angle, or that we've got everything set up at the right angles, and I'm just going to use a couple of feeler gauges. So we've got an 1/8 thou feeler gauge, that goes under there okay, and a 10 thou, not quite really, whoops, stuck now, not clever. Oh, right, so if we come around to this side and do the same again, and that is quite tight actually now, the 1/8 thou one, and obviously the 10 is not going anywhere near, but the 1/8 thou is tight there, a little bit loose on the other side, but a 10 won't go through, so we can't have more than 10 thou difference there across that diameter. I think that's going to be good enough. So if we check it there, yeah, that's tight on the 1/8 thou, 10 nowhere near going through obviously, and then on this side that's really loose, and a 10 just goes through. So again, I think we've only got about a couple of thou difference across this, on this axis. So I reckon that's good enough. This thing doesn't have to be spot on. So I think we're okay as far as the angles are concerned. With the head at an angle on the box plate and the head of the milling machine sit over at an angle that way. Right, let's get it in the right position now. Right, really hard to see this. I've got this clock at an awkward angle, but I think we're within a couple of thou. The insert that I'm clocking on doesn't seem to be quite round, but so we've got a bit of fluctuation on the way around, and that is really, really hard to see round there. I don't think the camera's going to see it. No, the camera isn't going to see that, is it? But yeah, I think we're within a couple of thou. So we'll take a light skim, we'll get the insert out and see what happens. Well, that's not too bad, but it looks like we're taking more off of this area than we are over here, which I'm not sure if that's going to be a problem, because the thickness of the casting over here is thinner, so in a way we probably don't want it to be taking so much off on that part. Well, I've just nudged it over about 3 thou. Yes, that away. Well, that's not looking too bad, I think. Trace of the thread, the original thread still left on that side. Still over on this side as well, but let me see. You know what, I might move it over that way a bit. And we're not quite flat in the bottom of the hole either, but I think we're close enough. Yeah, I can't feel a step in there. So I think that's not too bad either. Right, we'll just take a 10th out cut, I think. Well, that's looking good, I think. What I've got to do now is decide what size I want to take this out to. And we've got a compromise to strike between the size of the bore that we're cutting and the size of the insert, which is way too big at the minute, and we've got to turn that down. There's not a lot of metal on either of these pieces, so I could do with my left-handed calipers here. Ha! Let's go and grab those. Right, the collar, the thread on the collar, that must be a 48mm thread. The OD of this insert is 56. The boss on the casting is only 58. We're at 48.65 at the minute. I think I can safely take this out to 52. I think we're going to be at least that big. So maybe I'll do that and then have another look at it. Doing 15th hour cuts here, which is a bit small. Could probably go bigger than that, but slow and steady, I think. Order of the day today. .8. That's looking a bit thin here. What can we do on this? Yeah, I'll try and get it to exactly 52, I think. And then I'll leave this set up here, take this down a couple of mil, see what it looks like, see if it looks like it could go down to 52, okay. Right. It's about 1/4 hour for this to make it. $52. We got 50, 51.98. Let's leave it at that for now.